What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the B-Dubs Movie Hub. Brian here, and it's been a little over a week since I've posted my last video, but that's because I spent all of last week watching the films of David Lynch that I have in my collection. Basically every night last week, even up till this morning, I was watching David Lynch directed movies, as well as a documentary about David Lynch. So I just wanted to, do a video and talk about, these films here, all of which, like I said, I spent the last week or so watching. So sit tight and we'll talk about these David Lynch films that I have in my collection. One of the things I wanted to do here in 2025 are like little collection spotlights. I had mentioned that in a video earlier in the year, and just doing whether it's what I talk about one movie or a director or like a series of movies, just to talk about little bits of my collection. As you can see, I have a decent sized collection here behind me, so I just want to talk a little bit about those. And um, I felt it felt right to do a little spotlight on the David Lynch films that I have in my collection. He passed away just a little over a week ago, just shy of his 79th birthday, and he really is a unique visionary. I had watched parts of Twin Peaks a few years ago. My wife and I, we actually never finished it, so that is something that I do want to go back and revisit, just because it was such a wild and weird show, and it just really showcased his mind and his writing style. And I hadn't really seen many of his movies. I had seen Dune previously. I watched that a couple years ago before the remake came out, so it felt fitting to kind of jump in and just watch all of his movies that I have in my collection. I am missing a few, so those are not going to be talked about because I have not seen them and I don't own them. But I did kind of go in order of release. I started with Eraserhead, which I have the Criterion Blu-ray release of this one, and this was his first feature film. It's from 1977. It's 89 minutes. It was shot in black and white, and it was just it's a weird movie. It's probably one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. Directorial debut, 1977. Eraserhead is both a lasting cult sensation and a work of extraordinary craft and beauty. With its mesmerizing black and white photography by Frederick Elms and Herbert Cardwell, evocative sound design, and unforgettably enigmatic performance by Jack Nance, this visionary nocturnal odyssey continues to haunt American cinema like no other film. It really was kind of just a nightmare on screen, and it's just super bizarre and just very weird, and it kind of just showcased who he was as a director and a writer. Just really, really weird, bizarre movie. And it's Eraserhead. Again, I liked it. Not normally the type of film that I would probably find myself enjoying. I was confused. I was just kind of dumbfounded by what went on in this, and I'm not even sure I could fully explain every single scene in this movie, but it is really just a trippy, kind of just nightmarish movie. So that's Eraserhead. Again, this was 1977, so this was the first film that he had done. The majority of these that I have are Criterion outside of one. So actually, these are all Criterion collection. And the next one, which is also Criterion, is The Elephant Man. So this stars Anthony Hopkins and John Hurt. This is from 1980. It's 123 minutes, another black and white film. I really love this movie. I thought it was really, really good. I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd just because it's really good. John Hurt gives one hell of a performance in this one. And Anthony Hopkins is just great. I mean, he's an all-time great actor. So I really enjoyed this one. With this poignant second feature, David Lynch brought his atmospheric visual and sonic palette to a notorious true story set in Victorian England, when the London surgeon Frederick Treves meets the freak show performer John Merrick, who has severe skeletal and soft tissue disformities. He assumes that he must be intellectually disabled as well. As the two men spend more time together, though, Merrick reveals the intelligence, gentle nature, and profound sense of dignity that lie beneath his shocking appearance, and he and Treves develop a friendship. Shot in gorgeous black and white and boasting a stellar supporting cast that includes Anne Bancroft, John Gielgud, and Wendy Hiller, The Elephant Man was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, cementing Lynch's reputation as one of American cinema's most visionary talents. Um, Again, overall, just a phenomenal movie. If you have not seen The Elephant Man, I highly recommend it. It really is great. I'm surprised it didn't really win many Academy Awards. I think it was up for Best Picture. I believe he was up for Best Director. John Hurt was up for an award. I don't believe it got any of the awards that it was nominated for, which is just a shame because it's such a phenomenal movie, and it might be my favorite David Lynch film. I'm not sure if I'm going to rank these at the end of this video. Maybe I will, or at least kind of give you my thoughts, like my top three or whatever like that. But just a really phenomenal movie in The Elephant Man. And so the only non-criterion that I have in the collection is Dune, and I have the Arrow 4K Steelbook release. I don't have the big chunky box set. I missed out on that, but I was able to pick up the Steelbook a while back, and I did watch this a few years ago before the remake came out, but I did rewatch it again last week, and I enjoyed it. We guys basically know the story, especially if you've seen the newer ones. A duke's son leads desert warriors against the galactic emperor and his father's evil nemesis to free their desert world from the emperor's rule. This has got a pretty good cast. It stars Kyle MacLachlan, who has worked with Lynch after this a few times with Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks. But again, this is a good movie. It's an all right rendition. I think it was a little rushed. You look at what they're doing now with the remakes, and they're almost 3 hours long each, and it's just telling the story a little bit more in depth. I feel like they did kind of rush through a lot of parts of this movie, but I still enjoyed it. And then for 1984, some of the graphics are obviously pretty dated, but I still think it was pretty good. It's not the typical Lynch movie when you think about movies like Eraserhead, Elephant Man, and some of the other ones I'm about to talk about here. But overall, not terrible. Probably, I think it gets a little more hate than it deserves. But I did enjoy Dune for what it was, and for being made in 1984, I thought it was pretty well done. Next up is 1986's Blue Velvet. You have home from college, Jeffrey Beaumont, Kyle MacLachlan, makes an unsettling discovery: a severed human ear lying in a field. In the mystery that follows, by turns terrifying and darkly funny, writer-director David Lynch burrows deep beneath the picturesque surfaces of small-town life. Driven to investigate, Jeffrey finds himself drawing closer to his fellow amateur sleuth, Sandy Williams, played by Laura Dern, as well as their person of interest, lounge singer Dorothy Valens, played by Isabella Rossellini, and facing the fury of Frank Booth, Dennis Hopper, a psychopath who will stop at nothing to keep Dorothy in his grasp. With intense performances and hauntingly powerful scenes and images, Blue Velvet is an unforgettable vision of innocence, loss, and one of the most influential American films of the past few decades. Again, this is from 1986 to 120 minutes. It's in color. I really enjoyed this movie. Kyle MacLachlan is really good. Laura Dern is really good. Isabella Rossellini is great. But Dennis Hopper is fantastic in this movie. He's just he's super crazy. Just a really good Dennis Hopper role here for sure. Blue Velvet, I think, is definitely one of my favorites that Lynch has done. I gave this one 5 stars as well. You get a lot of the Twin Peaks vibes in this one, and I think this was kind of his prelude to that. I think he did this just before, or actually this was a few years before, because Twin Peaks was kind of early 90s, I believe, is when that show came out. You get that same vibe as Twin Peaks. I really enjoyed this, and this is probably one that I would definitely revisit. Kind of time and again here. I really liked Blue Velvet. As I mentioned, I don't have all of the feature films that he directed, so I am going to skip ahead because I do not have Wild at Heart, and I don't have anything Twin Peaks related on physical media. So I do have another Criterion Collection release, and that is 1997's Lost Highway. This is the 4K. It's from 97, 134 minutes. Um, Another weird movie. I enjoyed it though. A mesmerizing meditation on the mysterious nature of identity, Lost Highway, David Lynch's seventh feature film, is one of the filmmaker's most potent cinematic dreamscapes. Starring Patricia Arquette and Bill Pullman, the film expands the horizons of the medium, taking its audience on a journey through the unknown and the unknowable. As this postmortem noir detours into the realm of science fiction, it becomes apparent that the only certainty is uncertainty. Just a really bold movie. Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette are really good in this. You also have Robert Loggia in this. He just gives one hell of a performance. The tailgating scene is just hilarious when he just loses his shit on someone who was tailgating him. I just thought he was fantastic in this. You also have Balthazar Getty, who kind of takes on like the second half of this movie. It's a little weird the way this plays out. You have Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette kind of in the first half, and just this weird transition within there's a prison scene, and there's just this weird transition, and he morphs into a different character played by Balthazar Getty, who did a fantastic job. I haven't seen much of him outside of Lord of the Flies when he was younger, but he was really good in this movie. Just a very strange movie, but I really enjoyed it. It's weird, it's mysterious, it's confusing, as is most of David Lynch's films, but this one, again, this is probably going to be toward the top of my favorites as far as David Lynch films go. I really enjoyed Lost Highway. From 2001, I have the Criterion release of Mulholland Drive. This one is 146 minutes, so it's like 2.5 hours long. I think at this point, this was probably the longest film. Yeah, Lost Highway was a little over 2 hours. This one's slightly longer at 2.5. So this is blonde Betty Elms, played by Naomi Watts, has only just arrived in Hollywood to become a movie star when she meets an enigmatic brunette with amnesia, played by Laura Harring. Meanwhile, as the two set off to solve the second woman's identity, filmmaker Adam Kesher, played by Justin Theroux, runs into ominous trouble while casting his latest project. David Lynch's seductive and scary vision of Los Angeles Dream Factory is one of the true masterpieces of the new millennium, a tale of love, jealousy, and revenge like no other. I did like this movie. The first 2 hours of this is just a really good kind of mystery. You've got, Naomi Watts and Laura Harring, just kind of working to figure out the identity of Laura Harring's character. And then there's this other story of Adam kind of being forced to hire a specific actress to star in his movie, and he's just kind of fighting against that. And it all kind of meshes together in the end. The last 30 minutes, it just gets really bizarre. The characters switch up, and it's just really kind of weird. There really isn't much of an explanation as to like what the hell happened and why it's happening. So yeah, I enjoyed this one for the most part. Just that last 30 minutes gets a little weird, a little confusing, but overall it's still a pretty decent movie. Very well acted. Naomi Watts and Laura Harring are great, and Justin Theroux really kind of has some kind of like comedic, funny scenes in here. The scene with him and the cowboy is just really kind of bizarre, and just kind of I was kind of find myself laughing at that a little bit, but it's an interesting movie with a little funky, weird ending there. Next up is from 2006, and that is Inland Empire. This is 180 minutes, so it's 3 hours long. I felt every second of those 3 hours. shot in color and black and white. Strange What Love Does, The Role of a Lifetime, a Hollywood Mystery, and a Woman in Trouble. David Lynch's first digitally shot feature makes visionary use of the medium to weave a vast meditation on the enigmas of time, identity, and cinema itself. Featuring a tour de force performance from Laura Dern as an actor on the edge, this labyrinthine dream factory nightmare tumbles down an endless series of unfathomably interconnected rabbit holes as it takes viewers and on a hallucinatory odyssey into the deepest realms of the unconscious mind. I may have been a little bit more confused by this one than Eraserhead. This is just very, very bizarre. It's almost hard to kind of tell what is reality and what is in the main character's kind of like mind. But Laura Dern, it says here, a tour de force performance from Laura Dern. That might be an under. I mean, she was really, really good in this. It's definitely not my favorite of David Lynch's films. It's just very bizarre. Not sure I completely understood the whole concept, but Laura Dern was fantastic in it. Justin Theroux is really good. Who else is in this? Jeremy Irons is in it. Harry Dean Stanton's in it. Mary Steenburgen has a small cameo role in it. It's really just a very bizarre, very long, very slow burn of a movie.
You want to cut the time down?
What is this with everybody?
No.
What is it? Really?
Only me. It's
Why?
my fault.
I'm serious. Fucking A, man. It drives me nuts. Who gives a fucking shit how long a scene is?
If you're a fan of Lynch, I do recommend it. But again, for me, definitely not my favorite of his films. But again, I think it's decent. I think I gave it 3 stars. It's probably going to be a little bit lower on the ranking if I had to say so. But this one was really weird. There's actually bits and pieces of Rabbits, which was a short film that he did. So I think there's some, I believe they're all from that short film, but interwoven into the story here, which is kind of funky. It's a little weird, but it's very interesting. So, but yeah, that's Inland Empire. All right, so the last bit of David Lynch I have in my collection is actually not directed by him. It's just about him, and that is David Lynch, The Art Life. I actually just watched this today. This is from 2016. It is 88 minutes in color. So this is a rare glimpse into the mind of one of cinema's most enigmatic visionaries. David Lynch, The Art Life, offers an absorbing portrait of the artist as well as an intimate encounter with the man himself. From his secluded home and painting studio in the Hollywood Hills, a candid Lynch conjures people and places from his past, from his boyhood to his experiences at art school to the beginnings of his filmmaking career, in stories that unfold like scenes from his movies. This remarkable documentary by John Nguyen, I probably mispronounced that, so I apologize, Rick Barnes, and Olivia Neargard Holm travels back to Lynch's early years as a painter and a director drawn to the phantasmagoric, interesting word, while also illuminating his enduring commitment to what he calls the art life. You drink coffee, you smoke cigarettes, you paint, and that's it. This was just a really, really good documentary, just to kind of get you inside like his mind and his thoughts. You can see they show a lot of his work, his paintings that he's done over the years, and you kind of see him interacting with his young daughter as well. But just a really good, really, really well done documentary about David Lynch. Mostly just talking about him as an artist and not so much as a filmmaker. This does lead up to him talking about just before he made Eraserhead, and he talks a little bit about how that was kind of one of his best experiences, was working and creating that movie. It's only 88 minutes, so it's not super long, but it's just a really it's a really good look into his mind. Like I said, you get to see a lot of the art that he has done over the years, and you can kind of see how visually weird it is, and it's very similar to the films that he has made. I mean, there's all sorts of just weird, odd, and bizarre films that he has done, and this is just a really good kind of look inside his mind and kind of the man that he became in growing up as like an artist, and then moving into his filmmaking career. So I really enjoyed it. There's a few that I need to get. I don't have Wild at Heart. I don't have Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I don't have The Straight Story. And then there's another documentary called Lynch Oz that I think that's another one that came out from Criterion or Janus Films. But I really do want to see that one at some point. But eventually I'll kind of round out the rest of the David Lynch collection. But I enjoyed the last week kind of watching all these and, finally kind of getting around to seeing these films. I wish I did not wait so long. And, I wish I'd kind of seen these over the years while he was still around, and just kind of get to appreciate him while he was still alive. But overall, just he's such a unique visionary, a very interesting mind that he has. I'm not sure if we'll ever have another filmmaker quite like David Lynch, and that's a little sad. But at the same time, maybe it's a good thing because he did some really interesting work with these films, and just overall, just a really good director. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I spent the time and just kind of did this David Lynch marathon, and talked a little bit about my collection of his films. So that's really it. I just wanted to kind of go through and spotlight my David Lynch collection. I'm not going to go ahead and rank them, but my three favorite are going to be Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, and Lost Highway. Those are probably my top three. I definitely gave them all 5 stars on Letterboxd. I enjoyed them. Again, Lost Highway gets a little weird, but at the same time, I really loved Bill Pullman's performance in that one. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on David Lynch, and if you have a favorite film of his, or just even if you just think he's kind of a funky, weird director. I always like kind of engaging with you guys and getting your thoughts on the topics that I'm talking about here. So let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this out with your friends. I'm on Letterboxd, Instagram, and Facebook. I will put the link in the description below so you can follow me on all those social media platforms. Thank you again for watching.
And get the fuck out of my office.